Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today's a very special episode. We have Todd Rustman on the line, and he is the author of Memory Royalties, the Missing Link in Your Wealth Management. And he's also a partner at Clarity Capital Partners. And today we're going to get into his book, Memory Royalties. And for those of you that have been watching this show for a long time, you know I love a good author and book interview. Todd, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Man, I've been waiting to get you on here for a while. I'm excited to get into your book, Memory Royalties, and really what inspired it and what the readers can take away. But before we get into that, we'll start this episode the way that we start them all, with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So Todd, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, for executives, for experts. That's what we do. Todd, what mission matters to you?
Each and every day, reunited, invigorated, chance to be inspired or inspiring. And so working really hard to always be in a constant learning environment and always giving back. And hopefully when you look back in time, you know that you've left a little bit more than just a ripple across the lake, like when you skip rocks of life. That's what I'm hoping for.
That's awesome. Love bringing mission-based individuals on to share why they do what they do, how they do it, and really what we can all learn from that so we grow together. So good having you on. We're going to get into your book, where I definitely want to get into Clarity Capital Partners. But before we do all that, you got to take me in time a bit here, Todd. How'd you get into the business? Like, how'd you get into wealth management, managing money? Like, as a kid, like, when did this fascination start for you?
Yeah. In my teenage years, growing up in the Midwest, my father had me working since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
My entire family came from teachers, really. My dad kind of diversified off and got into school buses, kind of adjacent. Built a company that was, selling and leasing and drivers actually for school buses throughout the Midwest. He eventually sold that business, but I got to work for him, since I was 10 years old in the hot, humid summers of Missouri, starting with, a broom to picking up way long time ago, with mechanics. We would pick up, my brother and I both would work. My brother 2 years younger than me, and we would pick up, empty soda bottles for deposits. And then we got into cleaning buses, and eventually I graduated, driving buses, fixing buses. And then the final coup de grace my dad got me after my freshman year of college was to shovel rock all summer. And that taught me what I don't want to do, which during that time I was pretty good in school. I really liked reading. I was one of those bookmobile kids, also dating myself. But, I read a lot about Warren Buffett, and I just thought it'd be amazing to do something in that industry. It's like a teaching thing, coach, and especially on the private client side, which is where I kind of sit. Yeah.
How do you think those early experiences, like in the trenches, working for your dad's business, how do you think that helped fuel what you do today? Like, what are some of the lessons you got from those experiences?
So, definitely grit. So the harder I work, the luckier I get, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I remember one of my dad's managers, Joe Brown, he's since passed, but he brought up a broom to me, and he goes, here. And he goes, what is this? And I said, well, I don't know. He's like, it's an idiot stick. If you don't get a good education or work really hard, you're going to be using this the rest of your life.
Wow.
Oh, and I'm 11 years old. So it's like, I'm going to work hard. And then towards the end of my high school, my dad came out to me, and he's like, and I really love and look up to my dad. I'm very, very blessed to have such a great dad. But at one time he said, are you ever going to stay in Missouri? Are you going to help take over the business? And I said, well, I don't love the weather in Missouri, but I do love the people I've met in Missouri. The weather's challenging. But I said, I'm going to make you proud another way. I don't really love being in school buses landlocked. I want to do something else. And so having that kind of empowerment and knowing that, each day is a new day to make another start really helped out. And also finding that purpose in life. I think a lot of people these days, a lot of my second generation kids of my families, they're a little lost. They're without purpose, and it's tough. And I found that purpose a long time ago.
Yeah. You mentioned reading about Warren Buffett and stuff. Was that roughly in the college years when finance started to come in on like your radar, or was that earlier? I just want to make sure I got that.
High school. It was
wow.
Yeah, I was one of those geeky kids that would always be in the bookmobile thing and
Yeah.
trying to read the most number of books during the summer. I did read a lot of fantasy stuff, science fiction, which
Mm.
is some of that science fiction these days becomes like science fact. But I was
Right.
definitely reading about Warren Buffett, Benjamin Graham, value
Mhm.
investing, the long haul, and Peter Lynch,
Yeah.
One Up Wall Street, stuff like that. Yeah.
Did you know you'd be in finance? Like as you were going through that, did you kind of like, was it starting to pull at you then?
Yeah, it felt right. It was challenging. I feel like I'm a solution looking for a problem all the time. And I thought it was just amazing on the compound of interest, some of the Einstein's laws or the eighth wonder of the world, so to speak. So I just thought it'd be very interesting. I always want to be learning. Again, maybe it's a function of all the things we've already discussed, but
Yeah.
yeah, it just kind of grabbed at me. It did.
That's awesome. So now take me a little bit forward in time. So when did you get into your first finance gig? Like what was that like?
Well, I got out of Missouri to go to Pepperdine with a scholarship. And then I got out of Pepperdine in 1992. The market was not great. Japan was taking over the world, US market not being that great,
Yeah.
but Japan was really expanding. So I then went to school called Thunderbird, and basically did graduate school in about a year and graduated in 93 and then moved to Tokyo,
Mm.
where I was fluent at one time, I speak, read, and write Japanese, and I was
Wow.
trying to do the Sun Tzu, which is, not necessarily Japanese, more Chinese, but, know thy enemy and know thyself and not fear the result of 1,000 battles. So I was really trying to learn what was helping them tick and become number
Mm.
one globally. And I moved there, which was the most expensive place to live back in the early 90s. And then I moved back to the States, and I worked for a Japanese bank and did some stuff in Tokyo, but really kind of came back to the shores in late or around 94 and ended up working here on the institutional side at
Mm.
both Long-Term Credit Bank of Japan, LTCB, and then I worked at PIMCO, and PIMCO
Yeah.
got me into staying in Newport Beach, California, where I
Yeah.
still reside today.
So wait a minute. So you were in Japan. I mean, that was quite a time to be there, number one. And how did you pick up Japanese that fast? Like what are you like that's insane. You said you were there working and you picked it up that fast? Like
Well,
was different,
before I
right?
left there, so Thunderbird was very unique. They believed in, for it's an MBA in global management. So
Yeah.
you've got to be fluent in both the language and the business practices of whatever language region you choose. A lot of people chose Italy, Germany, some Chinese, not very many.
Yeah.
I mean, Japanese was one of the more challenging ones. And I learned all of that while being at Thunderbird, and then get out of the classroom and get into the real thing was what asset.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it like being in Japan those years?
Amazing.
Yeah.
The people, the culture. I've been back to Japan. I have one of my really good friends, Kenji, still, he was born and raised there, third generation.
Hmm.
But it was amazing. And if you could think, there was no cell phone. So I had to get phone cards to go to a pay phone to call my dad to check in once a
We
week.
lost all our younger audience. They don't know anything you just said. You might as well just spoke Japanese.
Yeah. It is crazy. I mean, that was payphones. I had to wait for a payphone. But yeah.
That whole sentence doesn't even work anymore.
Yeah.
Phone card for payphone to that's awesome. Yeah. And so now you're back in the States. You're working for the bank, and now what happens next? What happens next?
Well, the LTCB, Long-Term Credit Bank of Japan, was the 16th, I believe, largest bank in the world. And within a few short years after I left, nothing to do with what I did.
Yeah.
I was on the loan portfolio side, and I was helping them manage some of their U.S.-based investments in Pebble Creek and a winery and a couple of restaurants. I moved to PIMCO because basically I was living in Newport, but driving to downtown LA. Downtown LA back then was not a safe place. I mean, it was pretty much, I show up at 5:30 in the morning just so I could avoid traffic, work all day, leave after my Japanese sucho bosses would leave at like 7:00 and go home. I was young, so I could do it. I mean, it was really stretching my time, but PIMCO hired me away, and then I was able to not only live in Newport, but work in Newport. And then from institutional side, I was at PIMCO for a short while before I left to go to Mellon before the merger with Bank of New York Mellon. And that got me on the private client side, which is still where I am today, which I do like, for me, better because it's more personable, and I get to learn from my clients, and I get to see how they're doing things, and hopefully help them make only new mistakes, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. What and so I want to go, let's go further into what you're doing present day. So Clarity Capital Partners, before we get into the book, maybe talk a little bit more about the firm.
Yeah, we're a holistic wealth management firm,
Mm-hmm.
private client predominantly. We
Mm-hmm.
have 5 other wealth managers on my team. We're headquartered out in Newport Beach. We're under $1 billion under management. We are part of a larger RIA. Just happened last year where Summit, Registered Investment Advisor Group out of New Jersey, they're 26 billion AUM. I think the 31st largest RIA in the nation, and they have invested into Clarity to help us grow. They own 20% of Clarity, and they're helping us with our multi-custodial, our open architecture. We have, different of counsel, CPAs, and attorneys on staff for advanced planning and helping us expand. We also have an office in Bellevue, Washington, right outside of Seattle. And we're looking to expand to both, hopefully, Scottsdale, Arizona, as well as Montana. We have one wealth manager in Montana, but we're a team of about 10, 11 of us right now. And we're looking to expand dramatically over the next couple of years.
It's great. Let's get into the book. So Memory Royalties, the missing link in your wealth management. First thing first, I never heard the term memory royalties. Tell me where this title came from. I like it.
Yeah, well, like many thoughts, they're from other different things I've read. And one of the books I read was Die with Zero. I believe the author's last name is Perkins, I think. He talked about memory dividends. So I changed. Memory royalties is similar, but I'm trying to use it from strictly the wealth management component. And what it means is basically in our world, we have a lot of different investments, always an opportunity to make or lose money for our clients. But one of the few assets over time as a human being, a lot of assets become a liability. More pronounced during COVID, where basically our clients' extra homes and extra planes and extra boats became something almost like begrudgingly you're like embarrassed to either have and can't really tend to it because you can't even get out of your house. And so that asset became a liability and pulled on you, where another asset we postulate, an investment, is memories, where, again, as a human being, we don't go to celebration of a Todd's money at time of death. We go to celebration of a life. The life consists of memory. So we want to help our clients on the softer side of wealth management invest in some of those assets, investments, memories that will never be liabilities over time, that you can share with your family, create a Gen 2, Gen 3. And at the same time, we're gonna crunch the numbers to make sure you don't run out of money. But at the same time, we want you to have that space. It's not just trying to be the big scoreboard, big bucket of money. It's also about enjoying the ride along the way. And it's one of the only assets I can think of that doesn't become a liability as you get older.
Yeah. Is this your first book? I want to make sure I have that right.
First and only.
All right.
Forever only. Because
wait a minute. I was gonna ask you. So, okay, what was it like putting together a book, like as your first book and everything? I'm a big proponent of people getting. I feel like everybody out there has at least one book in them. Some might have 2 or 3, but everybody's got at least one in them. What was it like putting this together?
Challenging. It was a weekly meeting with a young lady, Lisa, who helped me kind of gather my thoughts, take notes, help me structure the chapters. A lot of quotes in the book from things I've read, stories and anecdotes from our families, obviously changing the names. We're very confidential here. So even the stories are changed, states are different, stuff like that. But I did it for 2 reasons. One is I do read a lot. I have a lot of mental models, and I've developed my own speed reading style. And now I feel I've got to compete with AI. So I will lose that battle with AI, but I'm up for the challenge. And then the other reason was I have 2, at the time, younger kids. I have a daughter right now, as we're talking, she's 24, and a son who's 20. And I wanted them to know from the book what dad was doing for 80 hours a week during their time growing up. Neither of which have read the book. However, at some point, they'll probably read the book. But I wanted to have something to encapsulate that. And it was really amazing, and it really helped me organize myself and my thoughts. And then I think for a better platform for all of the families and clients for us to kind of move to the next level.
Yeah. If there was I know there's many, but if there was one takeaway like from the book that you hope all the readers kind of walk away with, what would that be?
Mm. You hear a lot of athletes talk about it. I mean, I think our biggest superpower is our ability to keep learning.
Mm.
And I think that one part of we break down a lot of words in the book, but to deserve something, I see sometimes clients, saying as we get older too, we deserve something, to deserve. I think, when you break down the words, to deserve others. And that
Mm.
sense of entitlement might stop you from learning something new. And even when you're going out and doing a new trip or a new course to learn Spanish or something, even if it doesn't work out the way you wanted it, it's still worth that ventured road, right? It's still worth traveling. We think with our clients that mistakes are only paying your tuition twice. So when you pay your tuition once and you learn something, hopefully it was something good, not always the case, but if it's something bad, let's not repeat that one, right? Let's do something new, make a new mistake. So all of that's kind of in the book. I think right now it's very timely because right now we've got AI coming at us, the speed of technology and change. If you're going to, be kind of stuck in your ways and expect so much to happen for you because you've done your time or whatever, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I think that if we can all and we're all going to live longer too. So even when you retire is a challenging concept when you're trying to retire at 60 or 65, but you still have 30 years of life to go.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more on that? Because I think that's something that doesn't get brought up often. I remember when back in the day, I mean, I as you know, a little bit about my background for my long-term audience, they know. So I was in finance once upon a time about a decade ago, and I had, 14-year career. And I sometimes I have this conversation. I'm like, man, CFP when I was doing that, and it did take me back to the textbook days of planning and how old we were going to live. It's like we're living longer now. Like the tables have changed, like things have changed in what we're planning. Can you get into that a little bit and what that looks like nowadays? Because I don't know. I've done it so long. I'm just curious on what kind of conversations you're having now.
Yeah, I think framing, and to get back to mental models for clients and families, it's important to perhaps consider that, it's not only going to be living longer, but we're going to be living better. Like you're going to enjoy those years more. So
Like want to go do things. Yeah.
you're exactly. You can't just stay in your house, although you can. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to live your life specifically. I mean, there are some exceptions to that, but regardless, I think it's trying to determine what things you're making as a decision are irrevocable or hard to change. And then trying to keep your options open. We talk about retirement, more of semi-retirement, the choice to work each day. But we want to find things that are fulfilling to you and fill up that space, whether it's helping your son or daughter working with their kids and that, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4. And, there's just so many ways to have impact and a lot of different ways and paths to go about it. And AI robotics is opening up a lot of new worlds as well as in our healthcare. I mean, it's just always be learning. I mean, I think it's super important to just be looking at it with eyes wide open and kind of get excited, hopefully not anxious. It's just a form of energy, right? To be nervous or anxious, there is a way mentally, sometimes not always easy, but you can switch it to being excited about what's coming versus scared.
It's great. Todd, this has been great having you on the show today to learn more about memory royalties. Also, of course, the work you're doing over at Clarity Capital Partners and even your early days when you were getting into Buffett back in the day. So this is awesome. That being said, I mean, what's next? What's next for you? What's next for the book? What's next for Clarity Capital Partners?
Yeah, I think we're going to keep doing what we do as far as taking care of our clients and learning from them. I mean, it's an incredible industry. I know that you had done, you're saying about 10 years ago. It's amazing to help people. And I selfishly learn a lot about how to raise my kids or try, and I'm still trying. And, there's fits and starts, but we're all in this together. We're all trying to make each other have better lives. And I want to be impactful on that. My team feels the same way. There are wealth advisors out there that maybe just would rather be golfing and things like that. But I love what I do. There's nothing that my semi-retirement is going to be, how can I get more reading? And I don't know how reading is going to look in a couple of years. Maybe we'll be just doing inputs into our brain like the Matrix movie. Who knows?
I'm in.
Yeah. But I'm excited.
Plug me in.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Todd, how do people follow up? How do they learn more? How do they grab a copy of your book, of course? And how do they work with your team?
Yeah. Well, all those things. It's the easiest routes. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, Todd Rustman. There's Clarity Capital LLC relationalmindset.com is our website. The book is on Amazon. There's also an audio book as well. And we're 24/7. So we want to be a resource to help people get through what I think will be a challenging time, but an exciting time. So we're here to keep learning. In fact, I've got, a couple of different AI courses that we've been doing because we don't want technology to be our master. We want it to be serving us. So we've got to stay ahead of it, and it's coming no matter what. So with that kind of stoic of it is what it is and it's coming, we just got to be able to start learning and adopting a new learning curve and then help our clients navigate this. It's very important to us.
Fantastic. And for everybody watching, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so you can just click on the links and connect with Todd and his team, and also grab a copy of that book. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new experiences to help you along the way on your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Todd, man, great having you on. I'm glad I could finally get you here, and congrats again on the book.
Oh, thank you a ton. And I look forward to seeing what the future holds for all of us.